A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a wise man once said, "A spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission." That man's name was Neil Peart. May he rest in peace. So yeah, this channel is about video games, but to be completely honest, I catch myself nerding out about old school music probably just as much as I do old school games kind of today. So I thought it would be interesting to just occasionally make a video about music because, yeah, it intrigues me a lot and it's something that I want to talk about. So, screw it. So my favorite band of all time is Rush. And they are a very interesting group because they never really did anything conventionally. They started off as a more heavy rock, progressive rock. Some argue that they have songs that sound almost kind of like metal, but I'm going to generally say that the genre that Rush is progressive rock. And so yeah, they started in the mid 70s, or it might have been earlier 70s. I think it was mid 70s, and their final album was in 2012. So they had a very long run. And the reason that I like this band so much is because they are not afraid to change what they have if they want to do something differently. So their earlier albums just sounded like raw kind of rock and roll, progressive rock. They experimented a lot. Into the 80s, they switched up their sound into they used a lot of the synths that they did in the 80s. And some fans don't like it, but I would argue that it's very interesting. And actually, a handful of my favorite Rush albums are from this synth era, which is a little bit less popular than their original shit. And then they sort of swayed away from the synths and focused more on maybe that raw rock and roll sound. And they honestly tried to, some of their songs even sound a little bit poppy as they go on. And they ended with a concept album in 2012 called Clockwork Angels. And they are a very interesting band because I like so many of their albums for completely different reasons. For example, their fourth album, 2112, which is their breakthrough album, the reason I like that one so much is because it just sounds... Oh shit, I'm making a video!
Cool.
Yeah, I'm actually talking about Rush.
Dude.
Dude.
I thought your YouTube channel was about gaming.
Yeah, I kind of changed my... Well, I don't want to say it changed my mind, but I kind of want to talk about music a little bit, so I just kind of said screw it.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I just finished Rush, so I kind of have to, you know what I mean? Real. What was I saying? I think it was... Oh yeah, so basically, their fourth album, 2112, just sounds, it's like a raw rock and roll sound, like a classic rock and roll sound, but it's not like yacht rock. It's very far from soft. It's a very raw sound. And Geddy Lee, who is the vocalist and the bassist for Rush, his voice is incredibly high pitched, but it works. He kind of just sounds like he's screeching, but it sounds a lot better it's a lot better than it sounds, basically. And I like that one because it's a very raw rock and roll sound, and the songs are very interesting. I think a lot of bands fall into this trap of just making a million love songs, and Rush made a single-digit amount of love songs. They made very few. And hey, I'm all for love songs, but it's a very nice change of pace, right? Another example, one of their later albums is called Grace Under Pressure, and I like that one because it deals with a lot of serious issues and serious themes, and they experiment with the synth, and it works. They are a band that is not afraid to try something new. And I think that we can all take a lesson from them. We should not be so afraid to do something differently or try something differently than sort of how everyone else is. I think that's very important. I just finished the entire discography for Rush last night. Or was that last night? That was last night. Wait, actually, that might have been 2 days ago. I can't remember. I'll say it was last night. I think it was last night. And I am just stunned that throughout this band's career, I don't think they made a single album that was truly bad. Maybe there was the occasional album out of their 19 studio albums that I wasn't particularly the most inclined to enjoy as much as some of the other ones, but I still could not bring myself to say it was bad. Every single Rush album I listened to, I genuinely thought was good. And that is incredibly rare. That is incredibly rare to say about a band. To the very end, they were giving it their all. And another thing that I really like about them is they just stuck to their guns. So, obviously I wasn't alive in the 80s, but 70s and 80s and stuff, but older people that I know have described what it was like to be around Rush, and some of the press gave them a bad rap because the three members weren't conventionally attractive enough, which it's music. Yeah, that's crazy. Who cares? You know what I mean? And also, some people did not like that they kept changing up their sound. And this is my thing. It's like, at the end of the day, all that matters is that those three members of Rush, the creators, as long as they enjoyed what they were making, that is all that matters. Because they are making this product with genuine love and care. And if you're trying to constantly appease someone who doesn't care about you, it's just not going to be genuine. So the music that they made was truly just genuine shit. And that is why that's why I just inclined to be such a Rush fan. Oh, also, the most important part, I like their damn music. I really like their music. I have a dear friend back home who introduced me to Rush a while ago, and at first I didn't understand why he was so into them, but I gave a few albums a listen, and now I've listened to every Rush album. That kind of just got me. Also, their songs just have very interesting meanings, and like I said this already, but they just try so much shit. They've made multiple songs about books or television that they've watched. Like, for example, their most famous song, Tom Sawyer, is about a book. Is it called The Adventures of Tom Sawyer? Is that what it is? Is that a real book?
I have no idea.
I think it's called The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, but I don't know if that's true because I've never read the book. But, yeah, and it's literally just a song about a book that they really enjoy, or like a character from a book they really enjoy, and it exploded. And another song that they have is called, they have a song called The Twilight Zone, which is literally just about the show, The Twilight Zone, that they enjoyed watching. And then there is another song called A Passage to Bangkok, which is about them, let's just say Rush members getting a little zoinked, you know what I mean? That is literally all the song is about, is them getting yoinked in different locations, and it's so fucking cool. I love that song. And that's literally all they're writing about, but you can tell through every Rush song that these three guys are genuinely just enjoying what they do. And then you have more serious songs that they created. Like, one of my favorite Rush songs is called Afterimage, and it deals with death. I like the lyrics. It's suddenly you are gone from all the lives you've left your mark upon. And it's very touching. And it's a song that deals with death in an incredibly relatable way. And then you've got my favorite Rush song of all is called Mission. It is literally just about chasing your dreams. That's all it is. And the line, a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission, comes from it. And every time I listen to that song, I just feel incredibly inspired to just be myself, be authentic, and just do what I would like to do in life. It sort of grounds me. And so that's my very favorite Rush song. It is on the album Hold Your Fire, which is one of those albums from the more synthy era. But yeah, it's also very interesting that all three, so it's three guys. There obviously are people who may help produce albums, and they may occasionally have someone come on and, help them with a song, but generally speaking, it's three dudes making these songs. You've got Geddy Lee, who is the bassist and the singer. You've got Alex Lifeson, who is the guitarist, and a damn good one at that. And you've got Neil Peart, who is one of, if not the greatest rock and roll drummers of all time. They just kept going, and they kept making music, regardless of if they were popular or not. Even when they were less popular in the 90s and 2000s, they continued making music. Interestingly enough, you have Neil Peart. So Neil Peart is an interesting case because in the 90s, his daughter died. And shortly after, his wife died of cancer. So in the span of 6 months, he lost his entire family. And he genuinely didn't think that he was going to keep going on as, a musician. He just genuinely thought he was done. So for around 5 years, Rush did not make a single album. They sort of disappeared. And then in 2002, they came back with the album Vapor Trails. after losing people and after going through such a tragic, horrible thing in life, I have so much respect that that guy was able to find it within himself to continue doing what he loves, regardless of, all the pain that he was going through. And it's really interesting because they made 3 more albums after, when he came back, they made 3 more albums. They made Vapor Trails, they made Snakes and Arrows. They also made a cover album called Feedback, but it's a cover album, so I don't particularly count that one as much as the other ones, but it is still music that they created, but it's just all covers. And then they made Clockwork Angels, which is really, really good. It's a good album. Now, would I say it's as strong as their prime Rush albums? Maybe not, but there's a specific track on the album called The Garden, and it is genuinely one of the most beautiful pieces of music that I have ever consumed. And while this, it's crazy because these guys were so out of their prime and they just created this absolute masterpiece of a song. It is the final song on the final album that they ever made. And so that came out in 2012. And then, Rush stopped touring in 2015. And literally 5 years later, in early 2020, the drummer, Neil Peart, I think it was a form of cancer that he died by. I want to say it was brain cancer, but maybe don't quote me on that one. It's crazy because, and also, I have to say, all of these songs were written by Neil Peart, and he is an absolute genius. This guy just knows what he's doing. Absolutely wonderful, talented drummer, and an absolute lyrical, this guy's a poet, a genuine poet. They make music about such interesting shit that I have to tune in. Let it be known, I'm all for my love songs and they can be done very well, but it is very refreshing to see a band who just does something differently. And this is another thing that I have to touch on. All 3 of the members were actually friends. This wasn't some publicity thing to sell. They were off, when they weren't playing music, these guys were genuinely friends with each other. And that is Geddy Lee, who is the vocalist and the bassist, also a damn good. Some people argue he's not a good vocalist, but I would argue differently. I would say he is a pretty solid vocalist and a damn good bass player. He's a damn good bassist. And then Alex Lifeson, those 2 are childhood friends. So, and then the drummer Neil Peart, they didn't meet until they had to hire a new drummer. So they actually had a different drummer for their first album. But then I think he had a medical condition where he couldn't play anymore. So for the second album and beyond, they hired Neil Peart, who was the legendary drummer of Rush. Those 3 guys were genuinely friends who just genuinely all really enjoyed what they were doing. And they just lived. They just did their thing. And the music that these guys have created invokes such powerful emotions that literally I can say for a fact has helped me overcome various struggles in life, like my own personal life. And I can't stop expressing just how much great shit these guys have put out there. So if you are into music, I would just if you're into music, period, I'd recommend them because there's probably something they've made that you'll like. Hey, and you know what? Maybe you're into hip hop or something like that. You don't give a shit about progressive rock. Maybe you won't like them. But I implore you to just give them a chance because the music that Rush has created is like no other. Just it's a very incredibly unique sound that is constantly changing. But yeah, no. The song The Garden specifically, I might make a separate video talking about specific Rush albums and songs, but all I'm going to say is the song The Garden is genuinely so amazing because I have never heard a song that creates a better atmosphere than that song. When I hear this absolute mastery of music that is in The Garden, it almost puts you back. It sort of brings you back to earth a little bit. It's this sort of feeling that this one lyric, I don't remember the exact lyric, but it talks about how every moment will soon become a memory and that every waking moment of your life, you have to do the very best that you can to just take it in and appreciate the present. Don't worry about what was, don't worry about what will. just now. Just focus on now. Be here, be present. And obviously, you definitely want to prepare for your future a bit, chase toward future dreams and, future proof a bit. But I'm saying you need to focus on the now because before you know it, now will be was. You need to be present. You need to be here. And no song has conveyed that emotion to me better than The Garden. There's actually another Rush song that has a similar topic. It's called Time Stands Still. And I think it's one of their hits from the 80s. I think it's a very great song. I love it. But The Garden, it does it super well. So this is my fourth favorite Rush song. I'll give you the top 5 list for me. My favorite song from Rush is called Mission. My second is called After Image. My third is one of their big hits. Well, sort of big hits. It's an 18-minute song called Hemispheres. Holy shit, is it good? I would listen to it. It's one of those story songs. I don't want to spoil the story. Just it's audio candy. You're gonna want to listen to it. My fourth favorite Rush song is called The Garden. It's just such a beautiful piece of music. I could not recommend it more. And then my fifth favorite Rush song, I debate and I go back and forth, but generally speaking, I think it is this song called Available Light off of an album Presto, which came out in 1989. And the way he sings almost kind of reminds me of the band Journey, just subtly. But yeah, no, rule of thumb, just life is constantly moving and every moment soon becomes a memory. So you need to take every moment, every great thing happening in your life. It's easier said than done sometimes, but you just need to take it in and live in the moment and just appreciate what you have. Because yeah, life is constantly moving and constantly changing. All right, it's enough of that. I'm gonna go use the bathroom.